Three criminals attempt to blackmail Park Mujin, a politician in the Korean National Assembly, only to be murdered by supernatural means that flatten the island on which they stand. Mujin begins getting ready for the upcoming God of High School Martial Arts tournament. Jin Mory, a 17-year-old martial artist, is late for the preliminary tournament while chasing a purse thief on a motorbike and catches him by teaming up with 17-year-old swordswoman Meera and 17-year-old martial artist Han Dewey. At the tournament, it is explained fighters can use any martial art, bare fist or weapons. The fighters are injected with nanomachines to monitor their vitals and heal injuries so they can fight harder. The announcer declares the fights will not be paired duels, but a mass brawl. Many fighters are defeated easily. Until the commissioners send in convicted criminal Kang Mansioak, a super strong martial artist who fights only with his feet due to his wrists being handcuffed.
Too slow. You feel the tomatoes.
He humiliates Meera by stealing her bakken, then decides to duel Mory after Mory moves fast enough to avoid injury and even damage one of Mansioak's ankles. Park Mujin infiltrates Pentagon to see the president. It is revealed Mory never got to duel Mansioak since Meera snapped Mory's neck to retrieve her bakken. The three fighters walk home together and Mory explains he entered the tournament for a rematch with the commissioner who scouted him. Dewey wants money to pay for his friend Woo Seung-tae's medical bills and Meera seeks a suitable husband so she can save her family's sword style by passing it to her children. Mory accidentally drops her bakken into the river, so he and Dewey help her find it as it was a gift from her late father. At the next fight, Mory, Meera, and Dewey make it through their matches. Mansioak fights Go Gamdo, a Tai Chi user. Mansioak reveals he uses northern-style taekwondo designed for battlefield combat that allows moves such as eye gouging and groin strikes. Mansioak beats Gamdo and demands he beg for mercy. Disgusted, Mory saves Gamdo. The commissioners try to intervene but are overwhelmed by Mansioak's rage at being humiliated. Despite this, Mory easily renders Mansioak unconscious, only to find himself restrained by Mujin's unexplained powers. Mujin orders Mory be punished for interfering in a match. A mysterious cult watches the tournament. Mory faces disqualification until Mujin recognizes Mory's grandfather, Jin Tae-jin. Meera defeats Mama Sion, an American female wrestler who entered the tournament seeking men for her harem. Meera reveals her family martial art includes swordless style, which can slice flesh using only fingers. Mory is told he can remain if he beats one of the commissioners, though not the commissioner Mory wants. That night Mory eats a peach Mujin gave him, and immediately vomits blood as it was not a normal peach. Dewey's friend Seung-tae switches to a more expensive medication so Dewey becomes even more determined. He duels Baek Seung-chul who fights with a baseball bat. Despite painful damage to his organs, Dewey destroys his bat and knocks Seung-chul unconscious.
Hey, are you...
With that mentality. Yes!
That's...
Back is down!
Mory awakens and only just makes it to his fight. He is told he will win if he can push the commissioner to the floor. Then when the commissioner mocks him, he easily pushes him down. Mory is amazed his body feels more powerful, but the commissioner is so angry he activates a supernatural power and summons a clown-like spirit to kill Mory, only stopping after being restrained by his fellow commissioners. Mujin happily confirms Mory as Teijin's tiger cub and swears to take possession of him. Meera is approached by Seongjin, a martial artist and businessman who asks her to marry him, promising he can make her sword style world famous. Meera withdraws from the tournament, angering Mory, who criticizes her for treating marriage like a business arrangement and becomes convinced Seongjin has an ulterior motive. Meera's uncle asks Seongjin to end the engagement for Meera's happiness, but Meera insists they continue. Mory decides to infiltrate the wedding. Seongjin has a flashback revealing he is a cult member ordered to marry Meera to obtain her moonlight sword style, believed to be capable of defeating God. Mory infiltrates the wedding with Dewee's help and tries to convince Meera alongside her uncle and cousin. Meera is convinced not to waste the effort she already put into saving her sword style herself and cancels the wedding. Enraged, Seongjin admits he only wanted Meera's moonlight sword and summons a samurai spirit to kill them, managing to escape with Meera's bakken. Meera is unconcerned and decides to re-enter the tournament without it. Later, Seunti deteriorates and Dewey snaps and assaults several bullies who routinely harass him at work. During his match against Meera, Dewey wins by savagely beating the swordless Meera unconscious and promising to defeat Mory in the finals. In his youth, Dewey shared a violent rivalry with Seungti that developed into friendship. Mory defeats his next opponent and will face Dewey in the finals. In hospital, Meera urges Mory to fight Dewey for the right reasons, not for revenge. As their match begins, Dewey and Mory are evenly skilled and Mujin watches, hoping Mory will awaken. Mory knocks Dewey down and tries to show him mercy instead of taking revenge, but Dewey takes advantage, claiming he was never really their friend and unleashes a devastating attack. By chance, Meera stumbles across Seungti's room in hospital and finds his family in mourning as he had already died. Dewey knocks Mory down, but as the referee begins the countdown, Mujin, who had promised to cure Seungti if Dewey won, informs Dewey Seungti is dead, hoping to unbalance him. Dewey flashes back through his entire friendship with Seungti and decides to lose the match. Meera arrives and interrupts the match with a goodbye letter Seungti wrote to Dewey. With renewed determination, Dewey rejoins the fight, rediscovering his friendship with Mory. Mory deals a final blow to a happy Dewey.
You really are the best. Blue Dragon Kick!
Winning the match. Mujin comments that he seems to have found 2 tiger cubs. As the 3 friends leave the ring together, several other fighters watch them with interest. Mory's missing grandfather, Jin Teijin, refuses to join a mysterious cult, so they summon their god to destroy him. Mory is now Seoul's regional champion and can compete in the national tournament with a team of the regional's strongest 3 fighters. Meera defeats her next opponent, making her the 3rd fighter. Mujin hopes 1 fighter from nationals will awaken as the key. The commissioners worry over a group called Nox interfering, so Mujin summons the 6, including his elderly former instructor, Na Bongchim, who decides to make Mory his pupil to provoke Jin Teijin. While shopping, Meera meets the tournament's announcer, Sim Bongsa, with his family and realizes Bongsa is actually blind. He advises her to channel her feelings into her sword to find the true strength of Moonlight Style, revealing it was Moonlight Style that blinded him. As Bongsa leaves, he is approached by a Nox assassin, Priest Drake MacDonald. Dewey demands Mujin tell him about the powers behind the tournament, so Mujin tells him about Charyok, fighters who borrow power from gods, demons, even historical heroes, and Mujin wants to find the strongest. The remaining members of the 6 receive their summons and start to move. Dewey tells Mory and Meera about Charyok, though this only makes Mory more excited about fighting strong opponents. As the national tournament begins, it is revealed that Drake not only killed Bongsa, but also seemingly Commissioner Q. At Nationals, Mory and his friends face the North Chungcheong regional champions. Mory uses Bongchim's acupuncture techniques for strength, but accidentally paralyzes himself and loses to Nagidong. Drake brags to Q about killing Bongsa and his wife and baby. Q recovers and activates his Charyok, the scythe-wielding Joker playing card, and cuts Drake's arms off. Drake recovers by using his Charyok, Caterpillar, to reattach his arms. Dewey faces Jin Pumguang, an unintelligent but hard-working man who wants to help children who struggle in school. Pumguang uses his Charyok, Laborer, to summon a giant hammer, but Dewey knocks Pumguang unconscious. Q almost kills Drake, but is stopped by two Nox assassins, Priest Saturn and Axley Ivanovic. Commissioner O arrives to assist Q in combat. Meanwhile, Meera faces fellow swordswoman Zhang Jiangmi, a kendo practitioner whom she defeats, winning the match for their team. Outmatched by O and Q, Saturn and Axley flee while Drake sets off an explosion from his own body that destroys the top of the building. Mujin determines that a traitor must have told Nox Q's home address. The severed arm of Jin Tijin is discovered, suggesting he was defeated and captured. The next team matches begin and Teik starts his match using his Charyok, Megalodon, to brutally bite and rip his opponent. Dewey intervenes in the match, but fails to stop Teik from claiming a sadistically violent victory. The South Giala team enter the semifinals after the victory of Park Ilpio, using the ancient martial art Teikayon and his Charyok, Nine Tails Guardian. Mory is suspicious the tiger on Ilpio's jacket is the same as Tijin's military uniform. Dewey becomes interested in acquiring a Charyok, while Mory decides against using Charyok. Mory is approached by Ilpio, who explains after his father died and his mother abandoned him, Tijin gave him a Teikayon training manual written by Ilpio's deceased grandfather, inspiring him. Teik attempts to assassinate Ilpio, almost killing Mory, but Ilpio saves Mory. Q learns Bongsa's wife and baby are alive, Drake having actually killed doppelgangers created by P after Bongsa was killed. Mujin informs Q 9 months' salary will be confiscated to cover the damages of his fight with Drake. Q runs into Dewey, who, seeing Q has no money, offers him one free meal a day in exchange for Charyok training. Mujin informs the commissioners they have permission to use the full power of their Charyoks to prevent Nox assassinating the key. Mory becomes depressed over missing Tijin. Dewey and Meera receive anonymous messages informing then it is Mory's birthday and rush to celebrate with him, cheering him up. They decide to win the tournament together, then duel each other to decide who is strongest. Mory receives a map and a photograph of Tijin imprisoned, missing his arm but still alive. With Dewey suspended for having interfered in Teik's match, they will automatically lose unless Meera and Mory both win, except Mory is missing. Meera begins her duel against Lee Marin, who reveals he has Meera's stolen Bakken, explaining he unlocked the full power of Moonlight style where Meera failed and transforms her Bakken into the sword Fengxian. Meera retrieves Fengxian, only for it to return to Marin, having recognized him as its true owner. Mory follows the map to Tijin, realizing too late he is a fake which explodes. The bomber, Fei Long, reveals he is killing weaker fighters like Mory to locate the key faster, and that he uses the Charyok doppelganger to create clones. Marin stabs Meera, declaring her too weak to wield the power to kill God. Mory is overwhelmed by the clones until Long reveals Marin and his team are dead and replaced by Nox cultists disguised using doppelganger. Furious, Mory uses an acupuncture technique to make him temporarily immune to pain. Meera refuses to give up and has a flash of divine inspiration, granting her the Charyok Lu Bu Fengxian and true ownership of the Fengxian sword. Marin attempts to use his Charyok, Kraken, but is defeated. Mory suddenly appears and easily defeats the second Nox imposter, flashbacks suggesting he killed Long to avenge the real Marin. Bongchim admits Mory has grown from Teijin's tiger cub into a true tiger. Ilpio remembers how Teik defeated his teammate, Seunjong, ending her martial arts career. Now he is determined to get Seunjong surgery to fix her leg. Mujin informs Mory and his friends that Nox worship a single god and plan to murder all other gods and Charyok users. Long is revealed to be alive, until Teik arrives, having gotten all the information he needed from Long. He then murders Long, declaring he will claim the key. Mujin tells Mory he is too weak to help Teijin, but if he wins the tournament he will give him some valuable information. Dewey wins his semi-final match against Ilpio's teammate Park Seunga. Seunjong scolds Ilpio for worrying about her when he should be keeping a promise he made to Teijin. Mujin confronts Sang Mansioak, a high-ranking Nox cultist who infiltrated the arena only for Mansioak to summon his god. Mory struggles against Ilpio, who points out his every weakness, only for Mory to begin overcoming his weaknesses by copying the fighting styles of both Meera and Dewey. One of the six, Seo Hanryong, attacks the god with his 108 national treasure weapons to protect the arena. After a lengthy battle, the god is defeated and the arena saved.
National treasure number 1. Cleaving.
Meanwhile, Mory defeats Ilpio, who remembers the promise he made to Teijin that he would help Mory grow as a fighter if he ever had the chance. Ilpio suddenly receives divine inspiration from his Charyok, Nine-Tails Guardian, and awakens a new power. Mansioak happily declares the key has finally awoken. Thousands of years ago, the Nine-Tailed Guardian was betrayed by God and, after destroying half of heaven, fled to Earth and swore revenge. All Charyok users feel the awakening of Nine-Tails and instinctively fear it, except Mory, who is excited. While Ilpio is stronger, his new power causes him pain. Mory almost loses his match to Ilpio, but suddenly wins with a strange power that overwhelms even the Nine-Tails. Dewey and Meera ask Mory if he unlocked a Charyok, but Mory is unsure. Mujin senses the Nine-Tails' defeat and orders Ilpio be secured immediately while Mansioak flees. Mory visits Ilpio in hospital and explains about Jin Teijin still being missing. Elsewhere in the hospital, John Jugok, who lost his Charyok, Mage, after being defeated by Teik, gains a new Charyok from Mansioak, Greed, that allows him to absorb other people to increase his strength. He attacks Teik only for Teik to bite him in half with Megalodon and kill him. Everyone Jugok absorbed is expelled, including Ilpio's teammates, who Ilpio is horrified to see both had limbs bitten off by Megalodon. Furious that Teik once more injured people he cares about, Ilpio attacks Teik. Meanwhile, Mansioak opens his god's summoning portal once more, allowing an army of creatures to appear. With the key located and the creatures approaching, Mujin declares the God of High School tournament officially over. Sang Mansioak calls forth God incarnate in a final act to destroy the entirety of the world, thus ending the 11-episode-long fighting tournament central to the God of High School. The United States is made aware of the situation and fires nuclear missiles on Seoul in an attempt to subdue the old God, with complete disregard to the hundreds of thousands of lives to be lost as a result of this decision. The fight between Jegal Teik and Park Ilpio continues, with Teik revealing his true form to gain an upper hand, He consumes Ilpio and releases the key from within him. In a moment of frenzy upon the appearance of the key, members of the Six, servants of the god, and Jin Mory clamor to seize the key.
Shit!
Finally.
With Mory emerging with it in his possession. In order to protect the fighters, Park Mujin teleports them away to a spirit realm. With the missiles near and the citizens of Seoul stampeding to find shelter, Jeon Yisen too teleports all of the people of Seoul to a cliffside outside of Seoul, from which they witness the destruction of the god at the hand of Yisen and his transmutation magic. In a bright flash, Mory and the other fighters are transported back to Seoul, where they see the body of the dead god. In the final moments, the key is stolen and consumed by Teik, and all bear witness to his ascension. After consuming the key, Teik transcends his mortal body and becomes a god. He begins to ambush Jin Mory and his friends, threatening to consume everything in his way. Mory's memory is triggered, and he remembers his true identity. He is actually the great god's son, Wukong the Monkey King. Despite not remembering many details of his life before becoming immortal, he jumps into action and summons his Ruyi Jingu staff to fight Teik. The Monkey King manages to get in several punches, and even drops constant lightning strikes using his power to summon nimbus clouds.
Rain down! Again!
This enrages Teik and transforms him into a monster-like appearance. Mory's friends join in the fight and finish Teik for good.
Real divine dragon fang!
Kim Un-nayo, founder of the Six, is awoken from her cave slumber and congratulates the group for completing the tournament and offers them a chance to have one wish granted. Mory initially wants to wish for his grandfather, but remembers Ilpio's friends are missing limbs and unselfishly wishes for them to be healed. Un-nayo tells Mory that his grandfather is still alive, and he finally loses consciousness as a result of the battle. He wakes up 3 months later, and Dewey and Meera inform him they must travel to the Monkey King's origin place to recover his memories as a god. This is the end of my video, so please watching all of my anime recap series. Thanks for watching.